Oh, you are a bit. That works out. Okay. Yep, there we are. Okay, yes. Alright. There we go. It's cold. Alright. Today's voice acting practice on I Want to Be a Voice Actor is from Henry V. Henry V's ramping up his troops. Chose this one at random, no particular. Oh, hello! It's cold in here, in case you can tell from my breath. Oh god. Hello, you guys. Yeah, sorry about yesterday. That was an adventure. Power went out the night before at like 8 p.m. Didn't come back until 5 p.m. last night. So yeah, and it went out because of a sudden snowstorm, or something of that nature. And so the power went out, and we had a whole bunch of snow. And since our county road hadn't been plowed in like 2 weeks, after a few other snowstorms, I couldn't make it to town. We were stuck in. So yeah, that was cold few days. It was interesting though. One of the reasons it's so cold is instead of using up the propane I have in here, just staying in here, I shut it off and went main building for a while. So this place got really cold in the meantime. So yeah, it's cold in here. I'd give you a thermometer reading, but can't remember where I put mine. I think my dad was saying it was getting to like 1 degree or something like that. I don't know. It's cold. Okay, so I'm gonna get started on this voiceover a bit here. Give me a minute though. Once more into the breach, dear friends, once more. Or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage, then lend the eye a terrible aspect, let pry through the portage of the head. Like the brass cannon, let the brow overwhelm it, as fearfully as doth a gallowed rock, or hang and juddy his confounded base, swilled with wild and wasteful ocean. Now send the teeth and stretch the nostril wide, hold hard the breath and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, you noblest English, whose blood is fet from feathers of war-proof, fathers that, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts for a mom till even fought, and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonor not your mothers, now attest that those whom you'd call fathers did beget you. Be copy now of men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeomen, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the metal of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your bleeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble lustre in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, standing upon the start, the game's afoot. Follow your spirit, and upon this charge, cry God for Harry England and St. George. Or something like that. I want to show you guys something, just real quick. Normally my heater is over there, but I pulled it off the wall and set it right here. Isn't that cool? Oh god, it's fun. And so where exactly did we leave off in Umineko? been since Friday, I think. Alright, so go back to here. Old and weird. I just pull them up. If you guys like the poems you guys got, if you want me to read something else, feel free to suggest it. I'm just pulling out whatever random thing happens to. Let's go with this one. Alright. So yeah. These are just oddball ones that happen to pop up. Oh, I do have a book of drama plays and such. They're old. This book is from 1972 or something like that. Yeah, 1972. And it's got a few plays and like actual scripts in here that I could try out and my acting with, I guess. I'll toss you off for a sec. Give me a minute. You back up. Bing bong. Oop, not you. Right. We left off. The prisoners were escaping. And, oh god, the prisoner escaped. That was retarded. They did, like, nothing but anime cliches, and they actually had a counter for it, for how many cliches and loser flags there were in the story. They were coming up with, of Kraus versus the Goat Man, and the Goat Man lost. But yeah, they have, not in here. I got them elsewhere. I didn't think the it blows. Yeah, but I'm fine. I'm good. But we left off at the prisoners escaping with this very cringy anime escape, which I couldn't read with a straight face. I dare anybody to. We also had them answer their questions. They were asked, which three would you give up? Or which one would you give up to save the other two? And Jessica and George answered truthfully and then fought back. Jessica with some brass knuckles and George with his karate, martial arts, what have you. I'm not entirely sure, but he was kicking people very well. I didn't know he could kick that well. Anywho, we cut back and it popped up to Jessica, who is fighting Ronave, and he has his magical shield mumbo jumbo. Alright, so without further ado, even though I may want some. Let's get back into it. Heater takes a while to kick on. So, here we go. Jessica had finally been cornered with the wall at her back. Ronave advanced with his magic circle wall bit by bit, and would probably crush her against the other wall eventually. Considering the distance, she threw out her fists. This would be her final strike. Jessica dealt out many punches so far. The wall wasn't invincible. It had already started to crack, and it wouldn't be strange for it to smash at any moment. We'll see. With how ridiculous it is. I've only got one explanation for what the hell just happened in that scene. It's the only thing I can come up with, but I'll let you know if I'm right at the end. Would bet on it though. However, due to the rebounding damage, Jessica also had cuts all over her body and was all worn out. Please, put a stop to this. I don't intend to crush you. It is up to the master to decide how to deal with you. However, I also intend to congratulate you especially for your good fight. Quit fucking around. Not yet. It isn't over yet. You have wounds all over your body. It's all you can manage just to stand, is it not? It seems you plan on putting all your strength into this final strike. However, that final strike will be fatal for you. The damage reflected by Ronave's magic circle wall was proportional to the strength of the attack. Jessica's all-out punch would be bounced back onto her. The more all-out she went, the more suicidal it would be for Jessica. I get it. I know that. I am warning you. Stop this now. This is for your own good. Stop bluffing. Your wall is already about to break, right? I can tell by the feel of it after punching it so much. Okay. That was a fact. Ronave's wall was already on the verge of breaking. And on top of that, Jessica's fists had been imbued with an unimaginable magical attack power by now, and their destructive strength defied the imagination. In the worst case, that destructive power might even pierce the defensive wall, smash Ronave as well, and create an expansion connecting this room to the next. However, that damage would rebound on Jessica as well. She won't escape unharmed. I'll say it just one more time. Stop. I say this out of consideration for you. Shut the fuck up. Prepare yourself. Jessica howled. Putting all the strength of her greatest and final destructive power into her fist, she roared. The three ghosts had been beaten down long ago. Without straining to breathe in the slightest, George cautiously closed the distance between him and Gap. He was after her. He was planning on bringing her down with a single strike. Gap was also aiming for a single strike. If she let that chance slide, she would be killed this time. Aren't you going to use your pitfalls? Even the tiny opening during the time it took to open the hole would prove fatal with George as an opponent right now. Gap cautiously calculated the distance and timing, but even as she did, George closed the gap between them. If you won't come, I will. Go ahead. There's no point in cheap tricks anymore. I'll settle it with this kick of mine. Isn't that a death flag? For an instant, she thought George's body blurred, and then only his jacket was floating in the air. The moment she saw darkness-covered Gap, George, with his heel swung up high, was attacking from the sky like a massive dragon. It worked. This is my victory, Ushirmiya George. What? Gap opened a vast pitfall with her in the center, swallowing up George along with herself. The two were swallowed up by the pitfall and spat out from the ceiling of the harbor. But that was what Gap had been after, so she alone landed lightly. However, there was another pitfall in George's landing spot. Gotcha, Ushirmiya George. It was fun, so die. The Ushirmiya family headship would be wasted on the likes of you, so I'll finish you right here, right now. George once again fell from the ceiling of the arbor. He had probably been dropped the same distance as falling off the roof of a two-story building. In the sky, he couldn't control his posture in any way. It was impossible to resist or defend or avoid. As Gap spun like a whirlwind, she concentrated all of her energy on the sharp tip of her stiletto heel. This was the final strike, to perform his requiem. The final strike of the queen bee that would bore into heaven, knocking him down into the true abyss. Welcome to the abyss. This is the end of the line for you. She closed in on her prey and stuck up her foot into the sky. At that time, she saw George's face. Even though he was in midair, he was calmly adjusting his glasses with the middle finger of his right hand. And his posture was still preserved as that of an axle kick. With the faintest deviation, he aimed for Gap's forehead. I had already hypothesized that this move would come up. What? If I jumped to make the person on the ground taste my heel, my posture would have collapsed long ago. However, my posture hasn't collapsed in the slightest. Do you know why? You don't mean... From the very beginning, I aim to make a person 2 stories below taste my heel. I need to practice those. It's your loss, miss. Bing bong. Oh, take this. Let's go, man. The final strongest punch that Jessica had raised reached the wall and was sucked in. It was sucked into a black, large hole that had suddenly opened on the wall. Well, I did tell you to stop. Alright. This is good. Actually, I wasn't even close to being in a pinch. Sorry. Jessica's fist had gone for George's stomach, and George's axe had lined up on Jessica's head. The shocking destructive power imbued in Jessica's fist crushed George's organs and scattered his abdomen. The same destructive power in George's axe kick smashed half of Jessica's head and scattered its contents in the same manner. Didn't I tell you? About a witch's acting prowess? Hey, Beto. What did you think? Were you watching? Not bad. Just as planned. You really do get it, Gap. Yay. That is not yay, that says woohoo. Beato and Gap casually high-fived each other. Thanks, Ronobe. Yay! Thanks for the gift. I'll return Jessica's corpse. This music just doesn't quite line up. This is such a weird episode. I'm not gonna lie. Separate the corpses of the two who are close.